Yeah. Something about my wrist got him going crazy. Something about my bitch got him going crazy. Something about this shit got me going crazy. It's amazing.
So why did I choose the CBR 1000, the Fireblade? There's a few reasons for that. Let's go for a ride and I'll show you. So originally, I didn't even want 1000cc. Let me tell you the story of how I got to this bike. So the story begins me as a young little ham out in the wide world of motorcycles. Now I'd gotten my full motorcycle license and I was keen to upgrade off the SV. Sold the SV 650 on a Wednesday night, and Thursday and Friday was spent test riding bikes. I did end up test riding the CBR 600, which I thought was amazing, and when I test rode the new R6, I was like completely let down. Felt like the R1 but without any power, and I know the power is like all the way in the top of the rev range, which probably contributed to it. It just disappointed me on many levels, sexually as well. I test rode the Gixxer 600 and I also test rode the Gixxer 1000. The Gixxer 600 made me feel like I was back on the SV. I had vibration through the handlebars, seating position was okay, but overall it didn't feel all that refined. Oh dear, don't do gaps that you cannot make. The reason why I'm not talking too much about specs is all of the super sports are going to be around the same level, you know, according to my skill. I'm obviously not Rossi, even though I like to believe I am, and I'm definitely not Marquez. So picking between, you know, 10 horsepower here and 20 torque here really means nothing for me. Also in that list was the Triumph 675, the non-arm model actually. And I really liked the engine, and I liked the smoothness of the triple, but it was expensive, number one, and number two, the seating position felt quite aggressive and quite uncomfortable. And by that stage I'd ridden the R1 and I'd ridden the Gixxer 1000. The Gixxer 1000, that really felt like it had a ton of power. Oh my god! I could be a little bit biased because that was the first 1000 that I'd ridden. At the same time, it felt like it didn't have very much refinement. So anyway, I test rode all the bikes on the list, crossed them all off. I was sort of undecided. I was still thinking I should go with the CBR 600. It just so happened that the dealership that I went to test ride the R6 and the R1, they actually had a Fireblade. I jumped on the Fireblade and it felt good. I started riding, I went around a few corners. Within 3 minutes, I'm not kidding, I knew the Fireblade was the bike for me. But which Fireblade? My budget was around 10 grand, so I could have chosen the newer one or I could have chosen this one. Obviously, I chose this one, no way! It came down to looks at the end of the day. Remember how I said I wasn't too concerned about specifications? Especially with the 1000, like, the suspension's gonna be good enough. The power is way too much for the road. So picking between, you know, 20 horsepower, 30 horsepower doesn't really concern me. I didn't really like the look of the new Fireblades, you know, the 2000 and... Wait, what's this? This is an O... Oh, no, I'm confused. 2008, they changed to the new shape, didn't they? I think so. So if you have a look at the shape of a new Fireblade... Oh dear. Pictured here, and you have a look at an old Fireblade pictured here, you tell me which one looks better. In my opinion, I think the old Fireblade looks better. Just because if you take like a straight ruler and you measure the top of the bike, it's much more straight and streamlined, whereas I think the new Fireblade, the front is really high and then it sort of tapers down like a sort of, I don't want to say Sport Tourer, but it kind of looks like there's that, and there's also the fact that the old one has an undertail exhaust, which is pretty hard to beat.
Feel me, then go crazy, crazy, yeah, yeah. Something about my wrist got me going crazy, crazy. Something about my bitch got me going crazy, yeah. Something about this shit got me going crazy, crazy. I'm going crazy. we go crazy.
So this particular bike comes with a few features. Obviously it has a quick shifter, which I can't really demonstrate in the city because its first gear goes up to 140. It has levers, which is always good on a motorcycle. It has a Jardine slip-on exhaust, which is good. It's a little bit loud. You know, I don't like loud pipes, but it does the job, I guess. To compensate for the Jardine exhaust and the K&N air filters, it has like a little booster plug, which is kind of like a cheap power commander, and apparently it just ups the fuel in the mixture so it doesn't run as lean. That's what the guy told me anyway. I haven't found it, but I haven't really looked for it either. And that just about does it. The reason why I chose this bike over any other bike is it felt like a CBR 600, but it has 1,000 cc's of power. I thought, why not just be a dickhead and go with 1,000? So that's what I did. I'm being swarmed by pedestrians. Send help. That is freaking cool, man. Alright guys, as the ship goes under a bridge. I'll see you next time. Cheers.